Ever since the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley became a group, it really brought life back into the Street Profits and even Bobby Lashley. These three are supposed to be heels, but they're not really doing a good job at being heels. But when it comes to the Brawling Brutes, while Sheamus should be back soon, and well, when it comes to Ridge Holland and Butch, they haven't really been getting along. But no worries, because at the Royal Rumble, Sheamus has returned and he is excited and he is ready to return back to smack you down. He's all excited, smacking his chest and all. He shows up to SmackDown after the Royal Rumble and he looks for the rest of the Brawling Brutes. He finds Ridge backstage and tells him, "Where's Butch?" Ridge then responds by saying, "He ain't here." Meanwhile, Sheamus is bummed that Butch isn't in the arena. Later on in the night, Bobby Lashley is in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match against Dragon Lee, and the winner will go on and fight for opportunity to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Bobby does qualify with the help of the Street Profits, and he slowly gets his edge back because, Dragon Lee is a adored babyface, so, they're not gonna boo Dragon Lee. So later in the show, Sheamus gets approached by Nick Aldis, and he has a proposal for him. He tells Sheamus that, "See, I didn't really give you a proper introduction of who I am since, you got injured and all when I became GM of SmackDown. So, how would you feel about being able to qualify to be inside the Elimination Chamber match?" Sheamus is now ecstatic. He says yes. It's only been one night and Sheamus has been happy to be here so far. But there was only one thing that didn't really go well this week, and it was Butch not being at the show. So the next SmackDown, the qualifying match is for Sheamus, and he is facing Austin Theory. And well, he beats Austin Theory and qualifies. Nothing too exciting there. Now at this point, Sheamus is getting cheered and he is clearly a babyface if that is not clear to you. Now after this big win, Sheamus gets backstage trying to find the rest of the Brutes. He finds Butch chilling backstage, but Ridge is nowhere to be seen. Sheamus finally asks Butch why, like, he's only seeing only one of them at a time, not both of them. So Butch tells Shamo that me and Ridge aren't really on speaking terms. After countless arguments and the amount of times we keep losing, I'm better off on my own. And then Sheamus stops him right there and says, "What you mean you're better off on your own? We're the Brutes. We're the Brawling Brutes. We haven't been up here, in a long time. It's time to get back together. It's time to get Ridge. I should give him a call. He should be here next week, and so will you. But, I need to get ready for the Elimination Chamber. But you and Butch, I need you two back." And then Sheamus walks off. Now during that promo, Sheamus really tried to get Butch back with Ridge next week. And well, next week is the SmackDown before the Elimination Chamber. During a backstage segment, Sheamus and Ridge are together trying to find Butch, and they do, Sheamus puts both Ridge and Butch together, trying to spark the conversation. But Sheamus gets approached by Nick Aldis and he takes him away from the rest of the Brutes. So now Ridge and Butch are just there without Sheamus, and the camera cuts to something else. Who knows if Ridge and Butch talked or they just walked away, but now it's time for the Elimination Chamber match. Drew and Jay are starting off the match. The next man is Bobby Lashley, and then comes Sheamus at number 4. He's all fired up, and straight away, bro kick to Bobby Lashley. Bobby's down, but then Bobby gets up. Bobby and Sheamus go at it while Drew and Jay are fighting. The bro kick really personally got to Bobby, and he is furious. Bobby's only concern in this match is now purely getting Sheamus out of the match, and that is exactly what he does. Now later on in the match, Bobby is down and he, gets eliminated. And the person who wins the match is obviously Cody Rhodes. Now after Bobby and Sheamus both lost at the Elimination Chamber, the next week Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are in the ring together, and they are not looking too happy. A man that's also not happy is Sheamus. And Sheamus confronts Bobby Lashley and the Profits all by himself. While Sheamus is coming down to the ring, Montez Ford says, "Isn't that the guy that Bobby Lashley pinned at the Elimination Chamber?" Dawkins says, "Oh yeah, I think it is." Sheamus then demands to go face to face with Bobby Lashley, and he does. Lashley then tells Sheamus that if you're here to have a rematch with me, you're out of luck because I didn't win the Elimination Chamber, but I have one salty brute in my face, that's for damn sure. Sheamus then tells him, that's exactly what I want, and that's exactly why I'm here. But not just you, I want all of you. Dawkins then stops Sheamus and says, aren't there like 3 of you? And then Sheamus gets pressed by that line and says, yeah, there's 3 of us. But it's not really looking too good for us. And then Bobby throws in the first punch and demands the Street Profits to beat Sheamus down. But then Ridge Holland comes in for the save. He's alone. But then a few seconds later, Butch is also now here to help Sheamus. It looks like the Brutes are now back in business. With the help of Ridge and Butch, Sheamus gets out of the attack and manages to leave the ring with Ridge and Butch. The war has begun on the SmackDown After Elimination Chamber. The next week after the attack, Sheamus and the Brutes are finally back. They finally made up and they are so back. Sheamus is proud of them for doing this, but he tells them, we have targets on our back now. We need to stick together and watch out because this is a version of Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits that I have never seen before. You two stay together. I have a match with Montez Ford later on tonight and I need you there. Who knows what they might do. It is time for Montez Ford versus Sheamus. And everyone is there ringside. All 6 men are there. This is Montez Ford's first singles match in a long time. The tag team of the Street Profits have been running wild for the last few months. And now Montez Ford is going one-on-one with Sheamus. Montez Ford tries his best to play heel. Now I don't want him being a heel to be too forced, but it will work because Sheamus is red hot right now and he's getting a reaction doing anything. It's 15 minutes into the match and the end is near. Ford and Sheamus are putting on yet another banger after banger. Sheamus lands a final bro kick on Ford and he gets the win. Sheamus and the Brutes are now in the ring celebrating while Bobby Lashley is now talking to Ford and Dawkins. Later on backstage that same week, Bobby Lashley says to the Street Profits that they're gonna face Ridge Holland and Butch and they better win. I know they just got back together and all, but there's still some confusion between the two. Beating them should be easy. So the match is set and it will happen in the next 2 weeks. But before that match, the next week, after Montez Ford vs. Sheamus, the Brutes are back and they are in the ring all together. Sheamus starts out by saying, the Brawling Brutes are back in business. Sheamus smiles because he knew what he did there. All 3 of them are back stronger than ever, better than ever. We will run through everyone in our way. See, Bobby, you sent one of your prototypes in, Montez Ford, but he was no match for the Irishman. Next week, Ridge Holland and Butch will take on the Street Profits and will continue the win streak for the Brawling Brutes. But Bobby, now let's talk about Bobby Lashley. Bobby, you and I have a lots and lots of history. And I'm in the fighting spirit. So Bobby, you name the time, you name the place, and it will be Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus. And now the Street Profits cut off Sheamus, and now they make their way into the ring and they say, that does seem like a good idea. And backstage, we were kind of just discussing that. So you know what, Sheamus? I'm glad you have the balls to face the almighty Bobby Lashley. The same man who pinned you and took away your opportunity to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Sheamus then stops Ford right there and says, I want to be running your mouth if I were you because you're leaving out some important details. See, I also pinned you last week, don't forget that. And next week, Ridge the Fridge and Butch will do the same thing to you and Dawkins. And now Dawkins says, oh, and by the way, Bobby accepts your death wish. And the Street Profits leave and that's how the segment ends. The match is made official. Bobby Lashley vs. Sheamus, but we don't know when it's gonna happen. And now the next SmackDown, it is time for the Brawling Brutes versus the Street Profits. Sheamus and Lashley are not at ringside during this match. It's just the 4 of them in the ring. The match starts and it's, the first time that Ridge and Butch are actually teaming in a long time. So this is a test to see if they can work as a team or not. The Profits are real cocky in this match because they think the Brutes cannot manage to work together anymore. The match goes on for only 10 minutes, but throughout the entire match, there has only been 2 tags when it comes to the Brawling Brutes. In a 10-minute match, that is really, really bad. It means that their communications was horrible. But Ridge Holland ends up taking the pin, and Butch isn't looking too happy. They walk out separately, and now Butch goes to Sheamus backstage. He tells him, "You see why me and Ridge aren't on speaking terms anymore? He keeps losing, and I'm sick of it. It's a Oh, and Sheamus cuts up Butch and says, "Look, it's only your first match. You'll get in the groove of things. Don't worry about it. What we need to worry about is beating Bobby Lashley next week. You go ahead and meet up with Ridge, and you two better be here next week because I need you and I need you together." And that's exactly how the segment ends. So, with 4 weeks away from WrestleMania, Bobby Lashley vs. Sheamus is happening on SmackDown. It's the main event of SmackDown. These two teams have not met throughout the entire show, and Sheamus and the Brutes are both here. Also, Bobby and the Profits are both there at ringside. This is a highly anticipated matchup. Sheamus wants to beat Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley wants to beat Sheamus. The match starts and it's blow after blow after blow. Bobby and Sheamus aren't really wrestling. They're just straight up brawling in the ring. Bobby Lashley gets the upper hand in the beginning of the match, but later on Sheamus gets Bobby in the 10 pizza to badger position, and he just starts pounding and pounding and pounding away on Lashley. Sheamus is completely fired up, but the Profits distract Sheamus, and well, Sheamus gets caught up in that, and now Bobby gets up, he locks in Sheamus into the Hurt Lock. It's looking like Sheamus is going to tap out, but no, he reverses. Sheamus gets out of the hold, and then he goes back to brawling in the ring. It's been 15 minutes into the match, and both men are beat up. Sheamus is tired, Lashley is tired, but Sheamus cannot manage to lose. The Brutes already did last week, so Sheamus lands a bro kick. He goes for the cover, but Bobby Lashley kicks out. Sheamus is completely shocked, but then Bobby Lashley gets Sheamus back into the Hurt Lock, and well, Sheamus taps out. Sheamus loses and Bobby Lashley takes home the victory. 2 weeks in a row, the Brutes have lost, and it's not really looking too good for them. The next week, Sheamus and Ridge are backstage, but Butch is nowhere to be seen. He's not in the arena, and now Sheamus tells Ridge that they can't keep getting away with this. We need to do something. We need to do something about them. Ridge then tells Sheamus that it's because of Butch we keep losing. Sheamus says, no. I think he's just going through something. He's been more furious since the last few months. But we can't let that stop us from putting down Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits for good. And there's only one way that we can put an end to all of this. Ridge then looks at Sheamus, knowing exactly what he's thinking. 2 weeks away from WrestleMania, all three Brutes are back in the ring. Sheamus has a big beefy announcement. He starts out by saying, "It seems like every single week they're trying to test my patience, but there's no more worrying. I started all of this, and my Brutes are going to end all of this because I'm tired of the games. It is time. It's time for Plan B. Bobby Lashley, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins versus the Brawling Brutes in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match at WrestleMania." Yeah, Donnybrook at WrestleMania. How does that sound? And then here comes the Street Profits and big old Bob Lash. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are now laughing. They say, "Are you kidding me right now? This is what y'all want?" How pathetic. You lost to me. Your Brutes lost to my Street Profits. So what makes you think all you losers teaming up can do? Just because you have your home field advantage, you think you can win your little Donnybrook match? Sheamus, didn't you lose the first ever Donnybrook match against Drew McIntyre? It's pretty ironic, but you know what? Me and the Profits have been having the time of our lives, beating you every single week, and doing it one more time on the grandest stage of them all will make our day. So Profits, what do you say about the Donnybrook? And then the Street Profits say, "You're on." And there we go. Big old-fashioned brawl in the middle of the ring. All six men go at it. The brawl has begun. The Street Profits are not playing around this time, but the Brutes have been listening to the Street Profits talk crap about them, talk crap about their precious Donnybrook match, and the anger is real. By the end of the brawl, the Brawling Brutes are the ones that go home standing tall, while the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley are down on the floor. The Brutes get the long end of the stick this week, And now the next week of SmackDown is the final Smacky Down before WrestleMania. And all of the Brutes are backstage. They have a message, one final message for the street business. Sheamus is all fired up like always because last week everyone worked together as a unit to put down the street business, and that's what he always wanted since he returned. He's celebrating the resurgence of the Brawling Brutes and says, "You see what we did last week? We put the Profits and Lashley down. We are a unit. We're back, better than ever. There is zero confusion in the Brawling Brutes. We're one big happy European family, and that will put the street business down for good in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. In a banger after banger after banger." And they just keep going. And well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Sheamus, Ridge Holland, Butch, Bobby Lash, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford. Good old-fashioned Donnybrook. The Brutes are entering the ring. They all got the same shit on. They all get ready to throw down and win their signature match. But Butch, we'll get him. We'll get into him later on. Now next arrives Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, known as the Street Business. They look like $1,000,000. They look like stars. Having the Street Profits paired up with Bobby Lashley has probably been one of the best things that happened to them ever since debuting on the main roster. So now they're walking down to the ring with a mission, which is to beat all of the Brutes in their own match. Now all 6 men are in the ring, and let me tell you, and let me remind you, there are no rules in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook, so let the brawl begin. Tornado tag rules, weapons allowed, anything and everything is legal. The match is a complete brawl, chaos in and out the ring. It's only been 5 minutes into the match, and it already looks like a car crash. Tables broken, barrels used as weapons. The Brutes are all fired up. They are dominating the street business. Sheamus is landing bro kicks. Ridge Holland, with his insane back strength, being able to land a double Alabama slam to the Street Profits. The match is just all over the place. Too much for me to even explain what's happening. As I said, this match is a car crash. Every announce table is gone at this point, completely destroyed. It's only later on in the match that Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits work in unison, and they work together to put down the Brutes forever. While Sheamus and Butch are down on the floor, it's almost the end of the match. It's been like 20 minutes. Bobby Lashley has his eyes set on Ridge Holland, the same man that Butch accuses of being the weakling of the Brawling Brutes. Bobby Lashley puts Ridge Holland in the Hurt Lock, and it's game over. Ridge Holland taps out, and the Street Business take the win in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. The Street Business celebrate in the ring, but the face of Butch is pure furious because once again Ridge Holland took the pin behalf of the Brawling Brutes, and that's exactly how the match ends, with newfound anger within the Brawling Brutes. Now for some reason I kinda had fun making this video. I feel like if this match were to happen in real life, the build-up would be pretty fun. Just two big teams facing off in a no-rules tornado tag match.